3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
All right, 5 o'clock on a Monday. Let's do this. Let's hit the books, part of the Hammer Betting Network, alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish, producer extraordinaire Zach Phillips. I am merely Brad Powers. Before we get to all your questions, comments, concerns off of an intriguing week 0, to say the least, before we get to all that, in case you've been living under a rock, in case this is your first Hit the Books show of the season as we get in here to week 1, let me remind everybody that Hit the Books has a new sponsor. You might have heard of them. It's called FanDuel. Yeah, that's right. FanDuel, the sports book. And you can start your college football season off with a win on FanDuel, because right now, new customers can kick off the season with $200 in bonus bets. Just place any $5 bet and you'll get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. You can use your bets on spreads, live bets, over-unders, so much more. Keep in mind, FanDuel, I mean, we've been talking about them all offseason. They were the first to post win totals. They were the first to post game of the years. They are the first to be posting these FCS games, to say the least. FBS versus FCS, FCS versus FCS. There's a reason why FanDuel is the number one sports book in America. Just visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com/hitthebooks. All one word, hit the books. FanDuel.com/hitthebooks to download America's number one sports book. That's FanDuel.com/hitthebooks. Disclaimer, must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued at non-withdrawable bonus, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888. That's 3-8-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org, I should say, /chat in Connecticut, or visit ndgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE New York, or text HOPE New York in New York. Knish, what's happening? How did week 0 treat you?
Okay overall. Obviously would have liked to get SMU, to the window for the crowd here. And Brendan Lewis, the bane of my existence here. But you know what? It was up and down, a little bit of wilds. And what I think my biggest takeaway is something we've talked in the summer about, is the year-to-year shift in certain teams. Is just way more drastic than it ever was in the history of college football. And I think that was started with the transfer portal, and it feels like it's only continuing to inch up a little bit, and start with a team that Florida State, like last year, who's been a portal-heavy team under Mike Norvell, goes 12-0. You tweeted it, and a lot of people saw it. It's like, would you be surprised if this is a 7-5 team this year? I mean, they that's the type of kind of year-to-year variance that's just going to be college football nowadays, until some of the systematic stuff maybe changes, or they salary cap revenue. I don't know what, but for right now, you can go from, you used to be able to maybe improve a field goal, a touchdown. Right now, you can go from really good or really bad to, 14, 20 points better, or worse in some instances, because that looked like an extremely mediocre Florida State team. Not just, it wasn't a fluke turnover game. It wasn't a bunch of crazy stuff happened. That it was like Georgia Tech was pretty much on par with them down to down for the entire game.
Before I get into that, let me remind people 1 and 2 best bets. We don't hide behind,
we don't
records.
hide.
We talk about losers. So we did, speaking of Florida State, Georgia Tech, we did get snuck in a first half under 28.5. Hey, what do you know? Numbers matter. And in certain situations, where that extra hook was beneficial. We should have gotten there easily. If you look at the whole entirety of the game, 14 total possessions, the fewest in any game in college football in 4 years. So I think we were on the right side there. Unfortunately, we weren't on the right side of SMU. I mean, I guess
needless to
fortunate that they
say.
won outright as a 4-touchdown favorite. And then, boy, a little unfortunate that the game script went that way because we missed the passing yards on Lewis by what, 10 yards or so.
Yeah, that killed us
Unbelievable.
on both ends there. But I would listen. Don't fall into the trap. And you nailed it on the live show on the weekend. The difference between winning and losing is that 28.5 on that first half point. That is the if you got 28, you pushed. If you got 27, you off. On SMU, if you get 26.5, and there were some better numbers out there afterwards, but if you got 24, if you got long-term 20, 21 in the summer, and it closes 28.5, to me, like that's going to be over the long haul, the difference right there. So don't buy you see some of this stuff. Oh, CLV doesn't matter anymore. Okay, maybe in am I worried about C1 in Taiwanese baseball as much? No. In major market college football, where on the day of the game, it's crossing over 28 at books that are taking 50, 100,000 a click. Yeah, it matters because the people at the top of the food chain who have the most money, if they're thinking that minus 28 still good and they're moving at 20.5, you got in your good bet. So, yeah, I'm not. It is what it is. You just stick to the process.
We did have a lot of CLV. I mean, I took some on the chin there, to say the least. Not only the SMU bet, but Montana State. And people were getting after me. I get it. 0-2. But I always, fight back the CLV. Oh, CLV doesn't matter. Game result matters. I always tell people, okay, it didn't matter for that individual game. I get it.
Yeah.
But I always respond, if it doesn't matter and you want to get after me, then let me bet 5 minutes before kickoff any game I want on a Saturday, but let me use the opening lines.
You're right.
Let me bet the opening lines. You tell me it doesn't matter, but yet it does over the long haul. So it was a very unfortunate result. You saw me. I said the worst case scenario for the Montana State game would be them winning by 1-4 when you got a New Mexico over bet. So that sucked. Florida State, Georgia Tech win totals were destroyed there. So it was a pretty bad day for old BP. But let's try to get some winners, to say the least here. I'm trying to think what the Florida State thing, getting back to the big game of the weekend. Yeah, I mean, won't go so far to say 7-5. I'm not going to overreact that much, but there was the problems that they had weren't turnovers. Like, wasn't like a Montana State situation. Oh, why didn't Montana State cover? Oh, the FCS team should never been a 2-touchdown favorite. Well, the reality is, did you look at the box score? I mean, forget the 4.5 point spread. They should have covered the closing line. If you look at the box score in that game, it wasn't stupid things like that with Florida State. It was, they got manhandled. I mean, Georgia Tech played man ball with them, both sides, and handled them. In fact, I would say it's misleading that the game had to come down to a final kick on the last play of the game. I thought Georgia Tech clearly was a superior team. So
I agree.
I don't know if that stuff's fixable, especially when the O-line, D-line is supposed to be your strength. Is it fixable? You got to go out and get a different quarterback. DJU is what he is at this point.
He's a guy who it worked at Oregon State because they had a legitimate running game. If he doesn't have that, he's not going to guy who's going to throw you 300, 400, 4 bills and win you a game. He's a kind of a system, protect the ball quarterback. And also, Florida State, some of those portal guys on the outside, it didn't look great.
They didn't look good. They looked like they were pulling sleds. The whole team did. I mean, for Florida State, you think fast, elite perimeter athletes. I didn't see it. Linebacker core was totally lost in the game.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of redeeming factors if you're a Florida State fan. Look no further than the market reacted quite considerably. The BC lines down to 17. You and I were talking about it. Remember? It was like 20 during the halftime of the game. Down to 17 now. Florida State, BC, Labor Day night. We'll talk more about that game probably later in today's show, and then obviously Friday's show. But
would you I was a little. So we talk. I mean, the Montana State game. they dominated the box. It was 2 scooping scores, right? I mean, really, you give up 2 scooping
Yeah, I still
scores.
thought there was, New Mexico, the coaching, you could tell that they're well coached.
I agree.
They schemed some stuff up.
Yeah. It was definitely an improvement from what they've had. Still don't think they're anything too redeeming in terms of the roster, but it was definitely a step up from what they've had in quite a while. A couple of takes on the SMU Nevada game is SMU might have a quarterback. This might be the old you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none, because I was, Preston Stud, they ran it up in some, in some AAC games last year, and they had that Lashley pace offense, when it's not rolling, man, like I think Nevada finally gassed out at the end there, and they were able to get a few drives, and but it was ugly for most of the day. And I got to tell you, that Nevada, it was kind of a thing. It was like their only redeeming quality last year was pass defense. They're pass defense. They got some guys in the secondary. Like SMU didn't have a lot of people open throughout the day. I thought Nevada, it was a good defensive performance until they kind of ran out of gas there.
Yeah, I thought SMU's offensive line would be a significant worry for me moving forward in the ACC.
Yeah,
because they got whipped. Now, I thought SMU's defensive line at times exerted their will, but SMU was a comical of errors. I mean, the fun that they set them up for the first score, that high snap. I actually thought they should have went for it on that drive, 4th and short. Penalties, stupid penalties, spitting on players and whatnot. Just so undisciplined, not very well coached. Preston Stone, kudos. He played very well in the 4th quarter, but prior to that, I was like, oof. I mean, I was hoping for Jennings to get back in there. At least he moved the team one drive in the first half. So they got a lot of stuff there that they can even correct it, and I'm not sure they're going to be good enough to go over that win total. I can tell you that. I mean, I wouldn't be feeling pretty good if I had over 8.5 wins. In fact, I don't feel like good with over 7.5 wins on SMU. Nevada, we'll get a better look at them this week. Market obviously upgraded them significantly. We're talking single digits. Another stupid take that I had was, I was questioning the decision to bet Nevada last week because, they might get blown out. Why would you be wanting to bet them against Troy when they could lose by 4 touchdowns? Now that line's single digits. So kudos to the releases that gave out Nevada plus 15. CLV. Hey, what could go wrong? You got 6 points of CLV.
And then I didn't stay up for this, baby, but I tell you what, I wouldn't feel so let's just say those Hawaii futures. I might be sending those out as Christmas gifts for people in Honolulu there. That as a gag gift, because that was not. And again, I think a lot of that there was wind. They didn't want to show anything. It was that is a really, really bad Delaware State team that got there. I mean, guys are flying on Spirit, 48 hours before the game landing. And it was kind of competitive into the 3rd quarter. So
kind of competitive. I mean, it was 14-14.
Yeah.
Middle of the 3rd quarter. And one of Hawaii's score was a punt return at that point. And it wasn't like turnovers. Delaware State went the length of the field for both of their touchdowns, 60-plus yard drives. So
that would be the concern. I think if you can make some excuses on Hawaii, best wide receiver out, wind out, didn't want to run, didn't want to show anything on offense. So we're still trying to push it downfield in the weather. The defense, though, I mean, that's concerning. That team going up and down the field on you a few times is an issue.
Yeah, a lot of people were thinking shutout there. That's how bad Delaware State is. So you and I talked on Sunday. We saw aggressive market moves on Nevada, pro Nevada, anti-Florida State, even the Georgia Tech, Georgia State game adjust. Very surprised that UCLA was only 13 when you and I woke up on Sunday morning. It didn't look like a lot of people watched. Evidently, a lot of people didn't watch the Hawaii game because I'm not asking you to adjust Hawaii's power rating down 4 or 5 points, but that one, you got to be downgrading Hawaii's power rating from that performance. I mean, you're a 40-point favorite and you're tied in the middle of the 3rd quarter. You're only up 7 entering the 4th quarter. You score a touchdown late with 3 minutes left to make it a little bit better. That was one where you got to downgrade Hawaii's power rating. I don't care if they weren't motivated. That just wasn't a good look. And you and I took part in that one. So a little bit behind the curtain here. we're supposed to have a parlay. You and I put together for the show. We're gonna have to do 2 of them on Friday's show because the one we put together, it's not available. Arizona, New Mexico is off the board right now. The UCLA game moved to 14.5. So, well, our parlay that we were going to give to everybody was an overreaction to week 0. I thought it would have been a good transition. We're talking about week 0. Let's give people the overreaction week 0 overreaction to week 0 parlay for everybody. It's not playable, so we're going to have to do something 2 parlays on Friday's show.
And hopefully we'll have a little bit more. I think we're going to do a little underdog round robin for Friday. A couple of those, and then see if maybe we can put something together where, because that way we should have some props available, maybe a little same game type of thing. So
yeah, we're gonna have to do double. So I'm adjusting on the fly. I apologize to FanDuel if we're supposed to contractually obligated for one. Not available, the one that we wanted. So sorry for that, guys. We will get to the comments. And we got to get to them because I see they were lined up early. First one's deserved. I'm going to get your take on this. Anthony in the chat. How do you feel about Minnesota, North Carolina line? I like the Gophers, but seems like a lot of North Carolina money has come in. Your thoughts, and I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a serious North Carolina. I don't know who really. That's one. Don't actually know the driver behind that. But yeah, no, I mean, to cross that over a favorite. Listen, needless to say, I disagree with that. I think North Carolina still, I mean, they're talking we're going to play multiple quarterbacks. I don't think their offense is very settled, but someone obviously strongly disagrees there. This is one, I'll be honest, and I will at some point, if it's going to tick up a little further, be double dipping on this one. So, yeah, hey, you got to respect the market at some points, but this is another one where if I can get Minnesota, I don't think would ever touch 3. But if I'm getting a plus, closer to Saturday, if I can get a plus on the money line, I'll be taking another piece.
Nothing that I read gives me cause for concern other than respecting the market. I will say crossing through 0 isn't much to me. I bet Minnesota's a dog. Worst case scenario would be North Carolina winning by 1 or 2. Which, the chances of that happening, considering what happened in Montana State, probably greater than 0. We'll put it that way. Yeah, I know some people that I respect, like North Carolina. I don't. I like Minnesota's quarterback situation a little bit better. I'll take Minnesota at home. So I still like Minnesota. I did hear that if it did touch 3, a big group wants Minnesota, and by big group I mean people that bet 6 figures and not nickel and dime Brad Powers. So I was told that today, that if it does hit 3, it won't last long. Let's keep it rolling in the chat. Mason, happy Monday, fellas. Right back at you. Saw TCU take some money over the weekend. We still like Stanford. Is that due to a market influence or injuries? Thanks as always. I didn't see any influencer or anything.
No, I didn't either. I
think
it was always you know what? I think it was always going to trade a little bit kind of between that 7.5 and 9.5. And so,
yeah,
a move 8.5 to 9.5 really isn't super significant. I mean, that's a FanDuel kind of got, I think, best in the market. There's no 10s out there. And I don't see it. And listen, I'll be honest, it's another one. If a 10 comes out, I'll be double dipping on some 10 more 10.
Yep.
So that's not one. Yeah, I would say if you're watching that and you see a 10, I would grab it as soon as you can.
Yep, I agree. And if we're doing the Friday show and it's 10, Stanford be a best bet. Another one. What's changed? There hasn't been too many injuries that should be changing anything. At least from what I've seen now. You got press conferences today and tomorrow. Maybe there'll be some announcements, but no, I still like Stanford in that one. But let's wait for a 10 to give it out as the best bet. Fabulous one in the chat. It's only week 0, week 1, but the dog is going 4-0. My CLV buried once again. It's time to just blindly bet the dogs in the first 2 weeks, increase my bankroll and reduce my insanity. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to overreact to.
No, yeah, don't. It's small sample there. And listen, I think more so than just listen. It was small sample of dogs. So you're saying that I wouldn't just blindly bet because you're going to get it both ways, right? You're going to get higher variance outcomes, I think, year to year in college football, but it just happened to be that the week 0 slate, the dogs, come home in that one. It could easily be, laying a minor or taking a +10 and the team, they lose by 38 or something like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't overreact to that sample as far as like, I'm just going to bet underdogs, but I do think you probably need to aggressively adjust more so than in past years in some cases on an early week basis.
Agree. I will say one thing, and we didn't get to this, but new rules in college football. I gotta be honest with you. I didn't see a lot of people going up tempo. They were snapping the football after they stopped the helmet communication with 15 seconds. So I thought offenses were pretty efficient, if that makes sense, but I didn't see a lot of tempo. So again, it's too small of a sample size for me to make overarching things. But I guess if the offenses are more efficient, but they're still slow tempo, maybe there's something to the betting big dogs if you got fewer possessions. Again, only a few games. I'm not going to overreact. Onion Man, speaking of overreaction, thoughts on Arizona, New Mexico over 57? Not sure I want to back Arizona, but think New Mexico is getting too much credit for a game. Gave up 8 yards per play, had 2 defensive touchdowns, still lost. I mean, preaching to the choir here. I have similar thoughts there. Although I wouldn't be that opposed to back in Arizona a little bit there. I upgraded New Mexico, but it was a small adjustment for a team that almost pulled an upset. So it was just a small one. The game pretty much played out accordingly. I thought Montana State was better. It's just bad luck there. I couldn't believe I couldn't cash 4.5. What's your thoughts there? The market loves over. That got hammered by multiple people I respect twice.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with that move strongly because of what you saw from New Mexico. I think their offense looked more, the quarterback looked like Dampier, looked a bit of a playmaker. Had a couple guys on the outside too, that one wide receiver. So I think from an offensive perspective, you could say that, yeah, New Mexico would upgrade. Their defense, I wouldn't, in terms of an overall New Mexico, like, is this a team now that I think going to win 4 or 5 games? No, but yeah, I think it's one that I agree with the over move, probably as much as any of the drastic moves that happened after the week 0 results.
Yeah, I mean their offense was pretty functional. I mean, I liked some of the wing T stuff they were doing. Dampier looked okay. The wide receivers dropped a couple passes,
Yeah.
so I mean they looked better than I expected on offense. I thought the offense would be bad, but it wasn't. Let's keep it rolling. David in the chat. Want to bet the under Michigan Fresno? Is it getting too fancy to bet the first half under instead of full game? Since it's that time, I know for sure Michigan's first defense will be on the field. Yeah, I like your thought process. I think first half makes more sense. Full game. Respected Service gave out under last week. It got hammered down pretty good. But yeah, first half makes sense. I mean, what are you hearing on the Michigan beat in the last week?
There's still I don't know if they're just doing this but they're still playing up the quarterback comp between Orgy and Davis Warren. And I know your dad. My son Jack Tuttle unfortunately got hurt in fall camp, and that kind of took him out of it. But I love that. Was of the total plays that have moved, that was probably my favorite play. And I know another person in the space that was going to play that as well. So I think there's some agreements between multiple people I respect on that under. I got to be honest with you, even at 45.5, I would still lean under. I think this is going to be an absolute grinder for Michigan. I think their defense is still super elite, maybe 31-7 type of game. And I just think Michigan will kind of really lean on the run game. As far as their passing attack, I don't know. I don't know how much they're going to want to show with Tex on deck. I don't know how much they're really capable of. And it's a little bit, Harbaugh was he loved running it up. He was, and so we'll see what kind of mindset they have, and I know they'll probably want to get multiple quarterbacks in there. So we'll see. I agree with the first half play. I still kind of lean the under at full game as well.
Brendan in the chat. Sacramento State, San Jose State thoughts. I don't want to give too much because it's not widely available. A lot of money on Sacramento State. I expect me personally, I'll be involved on side and total in this game, but without it being, I know it's available at FanDuel and some other places, but I'm not at liberty to talk too much at this point on that game.
Yeah,
Have you heard any whispers on that one?
Well, I know. I mean, this actually FanDuel opened this like 7.5 or something. Yeah.
So 7.5 Sacramento State was a side.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for it to see where this one settles in at.
Yeah, I agree. So it's one of those that, I mean, credit to FanDuel for putting this stuff out there early, even if it if it jams some of us up that are trying to get
it's gonna jam. The old tout service is gonna not good for the old tout service. I'll put it that way.
You gotta have stones to put it up and be willing to take it on these. You be the first one to market on a lot of these games, because so that's when I think it's come down. I wouldn't have much of an opinion on where it's at currently.
I will say, I mean, I bet quite a few, but I got to say that whoever they got putting them up is not an idiot. I'll put it that on a lot of these, especially some of these bigger spreads are.
I agree.
I'm doing one of these. I'm not doing, looking for the foam. I mean, I'm just like, a lot of them got put up in the last 24 hours, and I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah.
I need some people to move that in a different direction. I'll put it that way for me to get involved. Trevor in the chat, Castellanos pass rush yards prop. We're going to be, that's next Monday. We'll jump into that. We'll deep dive that entire game next Monday. It's a Labor Day night standalone game.
Yep.
More widely available props. We'll get back to that one. And I'm anxious to see what the market does with that game. Trevor in the chat also is UNLV playable at +1 pick'em. I know there was 3s out there before. I'm higher. You want to go head to head on this game? I like UNLV.
You're driving the boat here. UNLV. I mean, at where it's at currently, I'm not dying to get on the Houston train. But I know you're higher on UNLV than I am. I'm excited. Honestly, it's one of those random, excited to see what what year one looks like here down in Houston. Excited to see if UNLV, is kind of looking like the real deal as far as a Mountain West contender. Yeah,
depth chart, UNLV, or for 3 different quarterbacks, they're not going to give it away who's going to start. So, I would still lean UNLV. I'm not going to say it's playable now. I was just wondering if you wanted to go head to head if you liked Houston, but I think late to the party, there'll be other stuff available, more valuable. Max in the chat, Nebraska -27.5 this weekend. That's a game I haven't bet side or total yet. Have you gotten involved?
No, I don't. It's just a big number for a freshman quarterback making his first start. That I just is a guy that I don't totally love. I mean, maybe Nebraska just dominates on the ground and is able to get, but I don't think the margin there, especially with the total this low, and I don't think Nebraska is going to play at any. They kind of play slow as it is. So does Utah. The margin of error to cover this is pretty thin for Nebraska in terms, like one turnover, and can kind of throw you off script here. And I don't think it's going to be an explosive offense at all. So no, I think
and Utah's got an entire new roster, so they're a total question mark. Nah, no bet. That's saying something. If I haven't bet a game yet, side or total, it means I could. Nah, I won't even say it yet. Let me get more tea leaves on the total. Spammy Sosa in the chat. Thoughts on Stanford 9.5? Let's just wait. I mean, you're in debt, no man's land there at 9.5. Let's just why bet 9.5 when maybe a 10 will flash.
Yep.
Zach on the chat. Northwestern line still at -2.5 versus Miami of Ohio. Is that true? I mean, some spots, but it's not widely available. 2.5, right? It's a juice 2.5.
I'm trying to.
I think bookmakers 2.5 juiced. Don't want to mention a few others, but there's some, but mainly it's still 3. You know what? I'll take that. I'll own that at FanDuel -2.5. I bet that I have made this bet at 2.5, so I'll fade Mr. Muscles. I'll own it this week. I'll go head to head with him. We're 0-1 against Mr. Muscles. Let's try to even up the score. I'll lay the 2.5 here.
Yeah, I don't know. This was one that I kind of I think on both sides of 3. You had buyers at Miami, Ohio at 4, 3.5. You had buyers at Northwestern at 2.5 there. So and I kind of agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, best bet. What are you giving home field advantage? Maybe it's a point with that new makeshift stadium, but they've been there. It is a unique thing, and they practice there. I've seen spring games there, so they'll be adjusted for a little bit there. And I just think Northwestern, I have Miami, Ohio as the highest power rated MAC team. It's not like I'm down on them. And I bet Northwestern's win total under. I just think there's a slightly better team at home. I'll lay the 2.5. And again, I think there's this perception out there that this ain't the Fitzgerald bunch anymore. I think Zach Brown proved that. Miami, Ohio in these short favorite situations against FCS team, MAC teams in the past have been terrible, but old Fitzy ain't there anymore. So I like this new coach. So let's go at best bet -2.5. A little extra juice there. I'll own that one. That'll be my best bet. Zach in the chat, also South Alabama creep below, less than a touchdown, 5. Lost to North Texas top defensive back. Is this a play we'd fire on? Let me wait till later in the week again. I think 4 is a go. I bet a bad number here earlier this summer. People will respect are on North Texas +7. I kind of like South Alabama. That might be one we'll hold in the chamber for later. Yep, I don't think you're as high on it as me, but there's, again, when you don't have you got a couple of market influencers that release something and you have no resistance, sometimes these just continue to tick down and down and down. So let's just wait till Friday there. Might be a game I play Friday. Egg in the chat, Miami, Ohio, Northwestern total. BP, will you be at any sports books this weekend? I'll be in Vegas. Well, the best bet of the show will be I will not be at any sports books. I got to deposit some money in the Circa because I bet way more win totals and stuff at Circa than I anticipated. So I might be there, but there's no. Sponsor the show, FanDuel. Get in Las Vegas, FanDuel in the state of Nevada, and I'll show up at a FanDuel sportsbook, but not here, so I won't be at any there. And his question on the total, I don't know the win forecast completely yet. A little bit of I do see a little bit of under money coming in today on the under. Try by the lake. I haven't seen anything. Have you seen any win there on that one?
No, yeah, I was gonna say not much on the total, and I was gonna piggyback on. I'm not a lot of times on Saturday, you just got so much. Well, one, we do a live show now. Number 2, you got so much going on with trying to get down on stuff that I can't really, it's hard to go to a game or enjoy a game from the sports book or something. Because most of the day kind of work. That's why week 0 is kind of nice to watch one of those. That's why I was talking about the bowl games. You can just kind of sit back and enjoy them, because on these jammed week 1s and going forward for the next 2 months, you just got a lot going on Saturday. So
yeah, I don't ever go to a sports book. I got my TV set up here. I don't want to be around people. Are you kidding me? You saw how fired up I was doing the show last week. He's had a few no, that's how my blood pressure is. Like, if I drank, I'd have a heart attack. It's unbelievable. I can't be around people when there's that many games going on. And I'm obviously still betting and stuff throughout the day. It's just, no, that's the last thing I want to do is be at a sports book. I'm being honest there when I say that. Josh in the chat, enjoy watching the show. Oklahoma -43. Nah, I can't lay the 43. Although I don't want Temple. I do not want Temple, because I could see 60, 70 point blowout, just like Oklahoma did.
I know hashtag, talk about old line, but if you were a summer watcher of the show, we were very high on Oklahoma in that matchup, but it was more at the 39 or something like that, So yeah, I think just especially now that it's crossed 42, you I gotta lay off there.
Yeah, LBP be happy 49-7. Fine, I'll put it that way. I have multiple tickets on OU. Rick in the chat, Brad deserves some props for telling us to bet BC +20 Saturday during the Florida State Georgia Tech game. Line's now 16.5. Well, I won't take credit for that. Somebody in the chat brought it up.
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, I forget who that was.
That's why we do the show. So I was able to, grab some. I mean, listen, you guys in the chat influencing it. So yeah, I'm clicking around, finding some 20 there as we're doing the show on Saturday. So yeah,
What's your thoughts quickly on that? 17.5.
I mean, I'm not the most bullish guy in the world on BC, but I could only look at one way on that game, and that'd be still BC at 17.5.
We'll talk more on that game again. That's a standalone game on a Monday. Last I checked, we got a Monday show. We are doing a Monday show next week, aren't we? I know it's Labor Day.
Yeah, I'm
are you taking the day off? It's not a day off for me.
No.
All right. I don't know. The Canadians like to take a bunch of days off. But I don't know if it's their Labor Day or what.
Yeah,
Boxing Day. What do they call it? I don't know what it is.
Fixed Canada Day, Canada Week.
Yeah. Zach says Monday show is a go. So, all right, good. So there's that announcement. We're not taking next Monday off Labor Day. We're leading into the big game between Florida State and Boston College. We'll cover player props, side, total, you name it. And we'll see where that line is. Right now, I'm not really interested. But kudos. That was the chat, not me. The light bulb came on when that guy was getting yanked while we were talking about that. Rob, love the Pizza Man's in the chat. Love it. Yeah, we don't deserve a day off. I mean, we're 1 and 2.
Yeah,
and then we got negative. We got negative CLV on this Thursday night game. The CLV will matter when we get negative CLV. You know how that works. It will matter then. Connor in the chat, thoughts on Shedeur under 304.5 passing yards or Brosmer over 172. Have you heard anything? Player props. I'm only bringing this one up because this is Thursday. We won't be talking but until Friday.
Yeah, you know what? And that's on me. I haven't gotten the word from the franchise yet, and haven't dug. I usually wait until day before, morning of, to kind of get into them. My overall instinct there would be Brosmer leaning over as well with you, but no real opinion on the Shedeur one. But haven't bet either of those, and haven't dive into this Thursday slate yet.
I'm not good with the player stuff. That's just not my forte. I'm not a fantasy guy, so sorry, guys. Ryan in the chat, every conference win totals you guys have taken or would recommend. Didn't notice any in the master sheet. Thought I'd ask before they get taken down. Well, I think we'll leave up before the conference win totals get taken down.
I actually
bet like 10. Did you bet any
throughout the year? Sources. So I don't think they'll I think some places will take them down, maybe the more old school places. Right now, if you saw during the Florida State Georgia Tech game, FanDuel left ACC title odds up the entire game and moving numbers. So it's kind of dynamic pricing on those conference futures now at some places. So including FanDuel. So yeah, some places take them down during games and stuff, but now it's kind of becoming the norm to leave it up and just price as you go.
Yeah, and with the ones that I bet, they were already teams that I'd already played full season win totals, so there wasn't too many shocks there. And there was only a few books that had them up, and it was usually late in the summer where stuff's starting to get priced out. So it's not something that I bet as much as obviously full season win total. Drunk Driver in the chat, loving Kent State Pitt over 55 or better. Even with the line move, I still don't think the market's fully pricing in Bell at OC. Good luck this week, guys. What's your thoughts on this? Because I have strong opinions on this particular total.
Do you? Okay. I was going to say I don't have a particularly strong opinion at where it's at 55.
I like the over for two reasons. Number one, what he mentioned, Pitt's playing with tempo. They're going to play a couple quarterbacks. I like that if there's a sense of urgency with the guy trying to win the job. And I also think Kent State, I think people forget how, they were a dumpster fire on offense last year. They had 0 returning starters. Now they have 8 back. I like their wide receiver core. They got a couple of all MAC caliber players at wide receivers. So I think they'll be an improved offense. I like the over. I don't know if I like that price though. So we can't fit. If you play totals, 55 is a pretty key number in the totals market. So we'll not play it at that FanDuel price, but I certainly lean over. I bet the over in the game. Ryan in the chat, any insight in the line move? We already talked about this. I still like Minnesota. I'm rooting for Minnesota. Hope the hell they win by 3. I'd put it that way. That would be a really good result for the portfolio. Mike, it's an important game. Minnesota over win total, North Carolina under win total. Not looking like an idiot with negative CLV. That's a game. My face would be red on that game. Also, anything on the Arizona State, Wyoming under 48. Have Wyoming one of the better defenses in the Mountain West. Arizona State quarterback situation a mess, and their defense was awful last year. Thanks, boys. The duality of man, I could take that and go. Wyoming's quarterback they think's better, can throw. Arizona State's offense was a total mess. They had student managers on the offensive line, so I think they'll be more functional. Wyoming's running backs out. I think that's a positive in the fact that they won't lean on the ground game. They'll throw more. I like the over.
Yeah, I saw you. That was a BP official earlier today. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple other. I think Corby likes the a guy that I respect. He likes the over. I thought it was a sneaky one that I was hoping to lay under the weeds for a while. But yeah, I just like over. I just even with all that, just use last year's. I know this is a very bottom level 101, but just even with all that, with Arizona State's offense being totally compromised last year, use Wyoming's statistical averages where they're just a ground and pound team under Bowl. I mean, I think it was like 48.5 just using last season's total averages. So again, I think both teams are going to be a little bit more high scoring this year. That's why I like the over there. Christian in the chat, Salter 250 to 1. I'm guessing that's Heisman. No. Right?
No.
What would you need? 500 to 1, 1,000?
I mean, yeah, you give me one of those.
You're telling me there's a chance?
One, yeah. Throw a 100 on it just for the to screenshot the ticket for laughs. But no, I mean, listen, Liberty was like he put up great numbers. Nobody even I don't know how many people even know this guy's name around the country. And so maybe the playoff he gets a little bit more hype in that. But I mean, the team
they don't play it. They got to play like for him to get it, they'd have to play a tough non-conference schedule. They don't.
Yeah. So they're in literally the worst G5 conference.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't see many paths for that to even be possible, even if they go 12-0 and he puts up crazy numbers.
Yeah, no,
that's
not one nope. Lion Brown in the chat, Mississippi State -26 is short. Levy coming out swinging in his debut.
Dr. Brown back in the chat from I know. I know he is a Mississippi State alum there, so I'm sure this is a very unbiased take on his part.
I'll just say I disagree. I think there's 3 starters out for Mississippi State. I was looking at the depth chart today. I disagree.
Oh, it's even down a little further there at FanDuel.
Read with that with what you will. Spence in the chat. Virginia Tech down to 13 in some spots. Is line move more likely to head back towards the Hokies, or will we see 12.5? What's your thoughts on this? I did see a little bit of that trickle. My power rankings like Virginia Tech. Now,
I was going to say
might be a suppression on the total so much that you got to bring down the side, but
yeah,
I'm still fine with laying. I'd rather lay it than take it.
What's Zach? What's the FanDuel number on this game at the moment? Because
what are we doing? Wait till Friday?
Yeah. I was gonna say at 12.5, I would have said it to go.
Yeah, let's wait till Friday. Yeah. I would be with you there. I like give me Vodtech in that game, but let's wait till Friday.
I don't believe in I don't believe in the Vanderbilt staff or what they have, or thinking that Pavia can I just
you're anti Jerry Kill all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, I like Jerry Kill in Conference USA, or when he's playing, the dregs of that conference. But I don't, and this to me is, and I'm not a Clark Lee guy. I don't think the roster is, if anything, I think it's worse. Yeah, I'm not a Vandy guy. Now, Virginia Tech, I know a lot of us are projecting a step up in Virginia Tech this year. Maybe that doesn't happen, so you could talk me into that. You can't talk me into Vanderbilt being
no. I don't see it. That's probably my biggest, from a power ratings perspective, that's my biggest overlay right now. Still. David D on the chat, North Dakota State +10 at Coach Prime. Man. I already bet North Dakota State twice. I'm a little disappointed I did that. I didn't have a correct handle on the portal and North Dakota State with a new coach. I don't know if it's a great matchup if Colorado, if Shador's gets time, big if, but man, I, mm, I don't know. Where you at on this one? Where's this line going?
I mean, I think I saw today North Dakota State's best player on defense, Cole Wisniewski, is going to miss this game, is going to miss most of the season with a foot injury. So that matter. I mean, he's All-American. He's like an NFL guy. So that matters. I don't.
Are we laying it?
I'm not laying it at 9.5.
All right.
I have gun to my head when I lay. I mean, this was a game that I had on the radar for the offseason to kind of lay when we were talking about maybe it moves to 7, 6.5. I can't get there either. I think this is one I'm just going to honestly watch and. I don't really project having a side here now that the number's gone back up. So I don't disagree. It's hard to be like, I know it's not your older brother's North Dakota State anymore, but they're still physical. They still do a lot of things that I think would give Colorado some issues where they can't just smoke them. So yeah,
there's just so many unknowns on Colorado and the line of scrimmage where you know what you're getting from North Dakota State. So I don't know. I haven't been wild about anything really on that game. Maybe total, but I bet freaking North Dakota State like 6 months ago in that game, thinking I was going to get really good numbers, and I didn't. So I'm a little ticked on that. Isaac in the chat, this is up your alley because you asked me about this. I didn't really deep dive into this. Did you on the FanDuel Mythical Matchups tab? Did you dive into any of that?
You know what? So one, I thought that was pretty cool. It just honestly, I thought it was something that good on them for putting up some of this stuff. So for people that don't, if you got the fan, it's basically a head-to-head and a total of what the two, they put rivals against each other, and it would be basically who's, scores more points and their combined total on for the over-under. I did didn't go crazy because a lot of times they're just going off of what the lines are. I played a little bit of the Iowa State under, I think it was 72.5, and laid a little bit of Oregon minus 13.5 as far as two of the mythical. We're not going to give those out as that. Those are, it's only at one place, obviously, but laid a little Oregon and played the Iowa under just as two. Nothing that I would consider crazy edge or any of that stuff. But just were two that I like because they're basically using, the game spread right now to make these numbers. So it's nothing that's going to be extremely.
I'm anxious to see if they're going to do that market on a weekly basis because
I agree. I thought it was cool. I hope they do.
Yeah, I hope so. Week one's tough because the lines have been up. You don't have any new information. And there's more variance. So yeah, I thought that was cool. A couple of FCS questions in the chat. Lafayette money line over Buffalo from Zoran and Brendan Linhart. I know FCS is confidential. Just blink twice if you like Duquesne and Lafayette.
The Lafayette just got bet down. It just got bet. People were on that one, from earlier. So it just got bet down. It is so. I know stuff's moving earlier and they're posting these, but I wouldn't play it where it's at now.
What do I want to say? I don't want to say nothing. We'll talk more Friday. I got to see how this gets handled. This is the first week. We've never had a book open this stuff up this early. So I kind of want to get a handle on how this stuff's getting operated. I'm not going to lie. I'll probably maybe do some finagling myself. So to get stuff where I want it. So to be determined on that stuff. I'll be anxious to see if that's the case throughout the course of the season. If that's being posted on Mondays and Tuesdays, FCS, I'll try to use it to my advantage and your guys' advantage too.
Yeah.
On stuff. Patrick in the chat, Georgia Clemson. I saw a little bit of Clemson 14. This was Friday night, Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Them 14s got bought up.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, you're anti-Clemson. I kind of understood it because there's a lot of there's not a lot of positive vibes around this Georgia fall camp.
No,
injury-wise.
and there, I mean, some injuries, some real injury. And again, it's a team that recruits out. It's not like, but some injury concerns for sure at a couple of positions. So, yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with buying up the 14s at the latest. 3 months ago, would I have told you that? No, but you have to react and adapt to what the current information is. So, I don't necessarily disagree with that.
I agree. Couldn't have said it better. I pretty much made it 14. I laid a little 11.5 way early. Didn't think I'd ever even want anything to do with Clemson. If I had to bet it now, even at 13.5, I'm not betting it. I'm just saying I would lean more on the Clemson side because Georgia's fall camp has not been great. Not that I'm down on Georgia full season. It's just for this individual game, they might just be, let's just do what we got to do to get the win and move on towards, the rest of the season. Zoran in the chat, Florida +3 over Miami. Even sprinkle some money line. Where you at? There's some confliction here. Guys I respect love Miami. Other guys I respect like Florida. I want to be more on the Florida side, although their fall camp has not been good on the injury front either.
Head to head
At 3?
at 2.5?
No, not 2.5. 3.
We're going consensus.
No.
He
said 3. The chat said 3.
So this year on the head-to-heads after last year losing, now it's all you're only taking the layups I give you here.
Well, I'm not. No, I want to win, man. I'm tired of losing, man. I just lost. I'm tired of losing, to be honest with you. So no, not 2.5. Florida is a bet for me at 3. That's a bet for some other people that got bigger pockets than old BP too. So we'll revisit that one on Friday.
People were on that, that Florida side. That money line, by the way, is I think the best in the market right now at FanDuel. If you want Miami money line, which I've played some of, that -137, I think, if I'm looking, is.
Are you going best bet on that one?
I'm not gonna. I would rather do. I wouldn't.
Hey man, you love the party of democracy. This is a democracy. This isn't.
I know. I know. I saw what you did there. But no, listen. I respect the Florida, the money on that, but I thought. My plan the entire time and what's happened is when it got thin was going to take some Miami money line. So that's the bet I have on this game. But I'm not going to talk people out. There's some serious people that were on Florida at 3 and above. So.
For the big games, I'm anxious to do the Friday show on this game, the Notre Dame Texas A&M game, looking at money lines, markets. So to be determined on that one, I would anticipate us having some action there, whether it's head to head or best bets on a couple of them games. I'm just anxious to see what happens on Friday.
Yeah,
leading up to the Friday show. There's a tease, and that's just not a tease to get you to. That's legitimate. Like I want to see where we're at there. See, because I anticipate there might be some value. True. Does Texas, Colorado State get any lower than 32? Yeah, 32 is that awful key number. I don't know. Is anybody going to be wanting to play back Texas?
I think I need like 30.5.
Yeah, I could see it going to 31.
Yeah, I agree. Because you're kind of in a no man's land now. You're going to get back to 34, 35.
There was above 35 available, and I never bet it, and I sat there because I just thought there's so much positivity about it in Texas that I just wanted to wait, and I waited too long. I missed the boat there. Carlos Bilbao in the chat, Notre Dame starting a few sophomores and a freshman on the offensive line, Texas A&M -3 play. Well, that's why it's moved to Texas A&M 3 because of the offensive line issues for Notre Dame.
Yeah,
You're not laying 3.
I'm not laying 3.
No. Again, that's one. We'll revisit that on Friday. What number do you guys make for LSU USC? Do you have a middle situation now with 4.5? I don't have a middle situation. We're more on the USC side, right? We gave that out, did we not?
Yeah, and I know I was a big proponent. I'm not playing back any LSU in that one. If anything, I still small lean to USC at 4.5. So that's probably one of the more bullish week 1 takes I've had is that one. So,
we're in good shape there. We did give out USC 6.5. That's all you. That's a great bet. One of the guys that I written, top 5 guy for me that I respect, market influencers on SC too. So everything that I've read the last 3-4 months says SC's the side there.
Yeah, I think they're live to win the game. So
Yeah, and boy, I'll say
They,
this:
uh,
you said Georgia Tech was live. That was a great take by you.
I will say, if we're maybe that's a teaser here. What's this game actually scheduled for? Sunday night?
Yeah, that's a good last leg of a money
I was
line
gonna say
underdog parlay.
maybe teaser for Friday for the money line underdog round robin. I think I know
We're
which
gonna
one of
have a
those.
loaded show on Friday.
Yeah.
We are promising people a lot of bets, so we better be ready for that. Do we have quickly? I mean, we're running out of time. Do we got some? Northwestern I gave out -2.5,
Yeah.
-122. We got anything else?
It's funny because this is the classic, like, these lines been out there for so long. That I think we just kind of come in ready to fire on Friday. I don't want to force anything for the people here.
Yeah, I
Oh,
agree. Oh, you got one?
no. I just wanted your opinion on one of our friends of the show played the FAU Sparty under earlier.
I'm hearing weather.
Okay.
So
Because
hearing weather there.
one of the guys I bet with is a Sparty, and he was a little against that.
Yeah,
But
Childs, I think said take the over,
yeah,
right?
I think take that for a grain of salt. But
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree with that. I heard weather is what I heard the reason behind that. Boy, with it total down, hook. That's a Friday night game. That might be a bet on Friday if it's sitting there.
yeah, we'll see.
You know us. We load up. We're degenerates. Friday comes around. Yeah, and if that's the best number in the market on a Friday and it's a hook on a key number, let's go. Let's go. Let's fire them up. So to be determined on that one. I don't know. I wouldn't be wanting to lay 14.5. I can tell you that. Johnny Bravo, Hawaii +14. Nope. In fact, I still think UCLA is playable at 14.
Yeah, there was honestly when we started the show, there was a little buyback on Hawaii, and then most of those 13.5s already got eaten up. But there are, depending on where you play, we'll see. I don't know if did FanDuel move on that action, Zach? There, that no.
Oh, look at them.
They
They
I
must
tell
know
you,
something.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, to give it BP and I, was it yesterday morning or Monday morning? I don't know what morning. I'm getting all my days screwed up. I played some UCLA when we woke up on Sunday, but it was mostly 12.5. At 13.5, I'd still lean that way for sure.
Yeah, Hawaii was not good. I don't want to overreact, but you have to downgrade a Hawaii's power rating, at least a point or two from that. It was that bad. Alex, can you talk Arkansas State -9? They should be able to take care of business. Another FCS game against Central Arkansas. Yeah, at 9. I don't want to talk about this stuff. It makes me uncomfortable. I mean, 9, certainly Central. I'll just say this: at 9, Central Arkansas is no longer playable. And just full disclosure, you can tell me if I'm lying, I'm crying, and I don't see any tears. What did I tell you the line should be? It was sitting at 13.5. What did I tell you? What did I not say? 9?
Yeah, no, I'll give you. Yeah, it's one of those 9-10. Yeah, it's just, I tell you, this is a market that, some of these games you're used to being 1 or 2 touchdowns off.
I'll pull up
Sometimes
the phone for
it's
that
just
conversation. People don't. I literally told you when that came out. I said, play around with it a little bit. Central Arkansas is probably the right side. I know some people that like Central Arkansas. I'm guessing that line closes 9. Now, people just bet it. I didn't say bet it. I just said that I think the line should be right around 9. So there you go. Carter in the chat. It's Michigan State seemed out to 14. We just talked about that. All money was on win total under. FAU, that much of a fade team. To be 14.5, I lean FAU. That was available at FanDuel. I'll just say that.
I'll just say if I see a 14.5, I'm buying it. So yeah. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I thought the number where it was pretty good.
Pull up the FanDuel. We'll get a bet in here. For the people that stayed with us the full hour, pull up FanDuel again. Friday night, 14.5. Hopefully it's there and they're not moving it. I'll pray to our Lord and Savior.
Oh, they did have 14.5.
Yeah. Is it still there? Or they
it is.
It, Zach?
Yeah, 14.5 -1, but yeah, I'm in. Zach, hurry up because this is not going to last. Dude, what are you on Canada Day time here? Get the game balls on Friday night.
He thought we were closing out the show.
We got him. Somebody give him the bullpen. Give me Jacob or Jason, whoever. I'll get him. Get
Chris
him in here.
Or anybody? No, he does not get producer extraordinaire for the close. I'm joking with him. Maybe it was a Friday night game. Maybe they took it down already.
No, I just
okay.
Just saw it. So yeah, I agree.
Well, if you have it, it's a best bet at 14.5. For those that stayed with us, you got 14.5. Boom, best bet. Florida Atlantic on Friday.
Yeah.
There was too many. You start reading the tea leaves. There's too many questions on that. I'm like, that ain't gonna last. Pesty Coach joined late today. Well, thanks for joining. Regardless, I sincerely mean this, but I don't care if you guys win or lose. This is the best show that balances good analysis with entertainment. Keep it up, boys. Well, that was nice.
Honestly, and we are trying. Our goal here is to. We always say, and people to get you good numbers when we can early in the week. Now, again, most of these games have been out for months, but when we're doing, especially on the Monday show, it's getting you guys information that we think is going to close good, and let the marks take it from there. So hopefully we can make you some. And there, I see Zach put it in the app.
It said 13.5. Interesting.
It didn't last. It was 14.5. So I think our loyal listener group here, along with Joey K, hit that one. So yeah, hopefully you're able to get some of that. If not, there's some 14s around. I listen at 14 or better. I like it. I really like it at 14.5 though.
As nice as the comment was, and we appreciate it, I'm here to win. I'm not here for shits and giggles. So we need to win this year. So this is the chips all in type of situation for me this year. I gotta win, or I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Too old for this. Jackie in the chat. In some of these FBS versus FCS games, Jackie's back. Must not have been that bad. If our one loyal female listener is getting after us twice in a row. There's some books that have 2 or 3 points of discrepancy, considering minus 110 on each side. Is it worth playing both sides of different books and rooting for the middle? I would say too much variance in week 1. Yeah. I'll have a different answer. If it was week 11, even though it's still a smaller market, with not as much liquidity, it would be much better to do that in week 11 than it is in week 1. There's just, in fact, I need to make an FCS bet. Oh, you bet all these FCS games. I still need 3 points difference in my power ratings a lot of times, unless we're talking a key number of 3 or 7. That's how much variance I need just to make a bet with this. Do you agree with that, or am I?
No, I'm with you. Especially early in the season, you've said with the variance and the amount of massive turnover. Even it's sometimes even more drastic at the FCS level. But I wouldn't go on 2 or 3 points, especially because some of these games will move so significantly that I would, especially if you can get on the right, if your plan is to middle, if you can get on the right side of it, I would be looking at more of a delta. Or if you're going to middle bet, wait till the weekend or something and that. And so just for me, it's tough. It's not it's not super liquid until later on Saturday. So I think just overall, not week 1, especially, and then not until you can I need a bigger delta on these games even before I'm considering middling.
Yeah, but sometimes there's opportunities for 7 points, type of things. We even saw that already in week 0. Blue Chicken, I have Georgia minus 13.5 Pitt minus 23.5 parlay. I'll just put it this way: the parlay we were supposed to give out, those weren't part of the parlay we were going to give out. So
but we'll be rooting for you, Blue Chicken, because I have bet that Pitt and
you have bet Pitt.
I did, and then
makes me like the over. Then
I bet Georgia as well at a little cheaper price, but
I did that one.
Don't love, as we just mentioned, not loving that as much anymore.
Jacob in the chat, any of these week 1 games that have steamed too far and worth playing back against? That's why we're kind of waiting for Friday.
Yeah,
for that. There's some. I'll give you some of the ones that we're looking at. South Alabama, North Texas game. We're anxious to see if that keeps trickling down, because a market influencer Gave North Texas, and if there's no resistance, let's see how far that drops. Let's see how far this James Madison Charlotte game continues to drop. I mean, that's starting to get a pretty big overlay in my power ratings. And it's not like I love Bob Chesney, but it's not like I love James Madison this year. So that's kind of a game I'm looking at. Is there any games that you're looking at that are moving too much?
Does Nevada Troy count? Because
yeah, I agree.
I
agree with that.
That one's about a point and a half, 2 points away from listen, I mean, I know they took SMU. It was kind of to the wire there, but there were.
I agree. At 7, I'm laying it with Troy.
That Nevada defense. The other side of the ball was rough, to put it nicely. So, yeah. So that's one that we'll be looking at. Where's the other?
I agree with that, though. I mean, we'll be firing even at 7.
Yep, I agree with you. No, the one we just gave out. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to see a Florida Atlantic 14.5 or 14.
Does it count? He didn't pull it up on the video. I don't know if it counts. I mean, I don't have video proof. Somebody was asking me about something.
On Monday,
says it counts. All right.
They lose, if they lose by 4, 4 or win, then I'll chalk it up. We'll give it to Joey K on that. Maybe we'll cut.
That one counts.
Oh, here he is. I'm glad you just wake up from a nap.
No, come on. Right. That one counts. It was on the screen as I was pulling it up. It moved. The number moved in front of me. But we saw it earlier, like 5 minutes
Yeah, we
ago.
did. There is video proof that it was there from the earlier video.
It counts. Yes.
And it was not like an hour before. It was literally like 5 minutes before. So, all right, we do have video proof. Somebody's asked me about that. Oh, the line wasn't this. And I had to screenshot our video. It was the under 28.5. I'm like, this is us giving it out.
That comment.
It's on the screen. Connor in the chat. A few more and we'll wrap it up, guys. Western Michigan plus 24.5 ago. I had bet Western Michigan at 24.5. Have you heard anything? There's hardly been any talk or movement on this game.
No, I know that was one that Western Michigan, a popular offseason darling, Mac futures on that regular season win total over. I have not. I haven't done anything with that game up to this point. But I wouldn't necessarily disagree because I think you're going to need. I'm skeptical as we were last year. I'm still skeptical this Wisconsin offense can take a big leap in year 2.
Zach, pull up the FanDuel odds. Let's see where this is at. Let's go. Western Michigan plus 24.5.
He's spicy early.
See, you need to stay for the whole show, folks. We're saying, we're not going to do anything. And here we go. Final 5 minutes. We start. I like it. 20. It's exactly the number that I bet it at 24.5. So let's go. We got some Friday action now. A couple of big dogs. I like it. A couple more. Avery Johnson, Heisman 25-1. No for me.
No, I really don't like that. I'll be honest with you. Like I almost like the Salter 250-1 better than I really don't think he can.
I'm not hearing great things about him throwing the football.
No,
Sam in the chat.
I don't love him as a player overall, talent-wise. I mean, I think he's athletic in that, but you would need Kansas. You would need like a Kansas State season that I don't think they. I mean,
I bet under their win total, so that's what I think about them.
And that price. I mean, no, I don't like that at all.
Sam in the chat, James Madison. We were just talking about this. Let's see.
Let's put that.
I agree. It's the right. I'm not going to get on. Yeah, I'm not going to get on him for making that bet now, but I'm just waiting to see because I have not seen any resistance. It blew through 10, blew through 7. Let's just see how far it goes down. Jacob in the chat, Jacksonville State, 2.5 Coastal worth of play. Jacksonville State should control the line of scrimmage. Nah, I agree with the money on. I bet Coastal. Dr. Bob's on Coastal. Mr. Muscle's on Coastal. I like Coastal.
I liked Coastal at over 3.
Exactly.
I would not play it now.
I agree with that. I agree with the line direction is what I was saying. I would not be playing Jacksonville State at 2.5. David in the chat, finally, another FCS game, Idaho plus 27. It's Idaho State plus 27.5 against Oregon State. It's already moved like 9 points. I didn't even get to the start of it. I wouldn't play it now. No. Where you at? Have you heard any whispers on that one? I'm not the only one
No.
playing this stuff. There's some people playing it.
Yeah, I know. It's annoying.
Concerning.
So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you. I wouldn't touch it now.
I'll give you one more. They posted an FCS versus FCS matchup, a good one, Youngstown State, Villanova. And I wanted it to move one way. I didn't even touch it, didn't tell anybody. Nobody knows my FCS power. Nobody knows nothing. And I wanted it to move one way, and it didn't. It moved the correct way. So somebody out there knows what they're doing with this. My goodness. That'll wrap up the show. Now, Zach, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we gave out Northwestern -2.5, a little bit extra juice. Gave out Florida Atlantic +14.5. It counts. Gave out Western Michigan +24.5. What else am I missing?
No, is that I think we just hit the until that's it. Yeah, that's what it's Zach who's up from his 30 minutes siesta there says that's it. So if you didn't miss him, then no, we should be good for a Monday. I'm glad, you know what? Hey, working it out with the chat here that we got a few in.
Excited. So yep, that's all according to the boss, Zach. You got any closing thoughts? Good show.
Good show. Good Monday recap. Let's get it rolling. Hopefully, Thursdays will go well. Then we're gonna be firing Friday, baby.
Yeah, we are. Friday's gonna be exciting.
I'm ready for also like a fresh set of lines. You know what I'm saying? We've been staring at this group a lot for months, not like months. That's why I always gonna get the I like the week 2 where it's like boom.
Oh my God. Look, there's a lot of good games. I'll enjoy watching it. I love college football, but I'm antsy for week 2 already.
Yeah.
Because we've seen some big adjustments from week 0. And I'm like, I hope we get that. I hope we get kind of those reactions on 20 or 30 games for week 2. We're going to have some fun then if that's the case. But for the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish, producer extraordinaire, Zach Phillips, for all the questions, comments in the chat. We love you guys. That's going to do it for Hit the Books, sponsored by FanDuel, part of the Hammer Betting Network. We'll see you Friday.